Hello and welcome to this episode of the Independent Dealer Podcast, brought to you by Buckeye Risk Services.
You got it
Luke, we
right
both we
again. Love it.
we both got different backgrounds, man. Where are you at?
I'm in the great state of Alabama. It's Alabama's a lot different than you think it is when you get here. Because I always thought it'd be
What
like,
do you mean?
man, we're up near the Huntsville area. I actually went to the Alabama Independent Automobile Dealers Association meeting last Friday. And then I dropped my daughter off at camp. And so we decided to stick around. And it's very mountainous up here, which is
Hmm, okay,
wild to me. And there's beautiful lakes. And it's just a really neat little spot.
that's exactly how I pictured Alabama. Was basically mountains, lakes, guys on
Right.
rocking chairs playing banjos and eating like fried alligator. So
Uh, okay.
perfectly
Well,
fits the
where are
my
you?
image. I'm up in Bear Lake, Utah, so it's kind of like the northeast corner of Utah. My wife's family's cabin for the week, so we're both out, kind of vacationing, which is what you guys need to do during the summer. It's time to get
Yeah.
out, take a little break. I would say things are slower at my dealership during the summer. We've actually had a great month so far, so I think it
Wonderful.
actually runs better when I'm not around. So there you go.
Well, and what's great with technology, I had my collections meeting this morning. Have a daily meeting with everybody, or make sure everybody's on task. And y this is what we've tried to build our businesses for, Jeff, is so that
Mm,
we can do these things. And I think it shows the success of your dealership when you can step away for a little bit. So
absolutely, and you can still be tuned in. Like same with me. I was in my sales training this morning. I've got my Starlink set up over here, so I got full internet going. So it's a beauty what things have done, and I'm still buying. So I set aside a couple hours to buy cars. I'm getting into financials. I'm still trying to work, which you could argue is good or bad. Some people say, hey, just disconnect and be gone for a couple days.
yeah,
For me,
maybe.
I'm kind of a work vacation guy if it's doable, especially if I'm going to be gone for an entire week,
Yeah.
and I'm basically just sitting around the beach doing nothing. So, anyways, what is really interesting too is this trip for me is not an expensive one, right? I'm
Right.
not, we come up here, basically bring our food, it's free, no flights, no hotel. But when I travel with the family, I have a hard time, like spending money. So I use a lot of my points. Do you have a points card, Luke? Do you
I
use
do.
a dealership?
Yeah, I've had an American Express Platinum Business card, I think for 20 years. I think,
Hmm.
on the front of the Amex card, it says member since.
Yeah.
And I'm fairly sure it's 20 years, it might be 22 years. So I'm very loyal to American Express, and I use it for all my flights, period.
Mm.
Well, whenever the family flies, if I'm flying for business, I don't use points. I use cash. But whenever I take the family on vacation and we go wherever, we use the points from that Amex card.
Yeah. And this is an interesting topic I want us to cover today when we talk about the perks of the business that can be used on a personal level, right?
Yeah,
Um, and there's a handful of them that you can do with varying levels of legality, and you want to talk to your accountant about that. But we do know that credit card points and credit card benefits are a very, very easy, cut and dry, like, hey, I can put as much of my business spend on this American Express or this Chase card or whatever it is. And all those points that I accrue or any of the cash back that I get can be used directly for me personally. And that
yeah.
is a completely legitimate tax legal type move to do in your dealership. So let's get into that a little bit on what cards. I mean, you sound like you're an American Express guy.
Oh yeah,
Do you have any others, or is that the only one?
yeah. I actually have, and I'm an American Airlines guy. So in the service department, what we found is sometimes not everybody takes American Express, and actually, eBay
Hmm.
stopped taking American Express a couple months
Yep.
ago. And so we buy a lot of parts on eBay. So what we ended up doing was ended up getting an American Airlines Mastercard because I
Mm.
fly American Airlines so much. And so we do have the the Admiral's card with for service department as well as the American Express Platinum.
Yeah, it's good to have a Visa handy because there are a lot of places that just will not take American Express. We run into
Yep.
that. Let's start this off with the framework of, as a dealer, you got to decide what your benefit goals are, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
some of us like to travel. We want to go places with our family. we don't really have like maybe a set go-to. Like I know a lot of dealers probably have a lake house or they have a boat. And it's like, look, if I have a free weekend, I'm not trying to fly off to Hawaii. Like I'm going to drive down to the lake. I'm going to get on my boat or I'm driving to my cabin. So maybe I don't care about airline points. I don't want an American Express or a United card because I'm just never going to use Sky Miles or I'm
Yeah.
never going to use a Marriott Bonvoy card because my vacation is my cabin. So I think as dealers, you got to realize first off, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, and I think also depending on the structure of your business, right? It may be super important for you and your business partner if you have multiple business partners that you get the cash back because it's hard to split the points up, right? So
Yeah.
so I think there's reasons to have these mileage cards, and there's definitely
hmm
reasons that have cash back cards.
Yeah. And here's my argument. I've never done a cashback card.
Me
Right
neither.
now I have the American Express Platinum and I got the Chase Bonvoy card, right? So I am we'll talk about the downside of being tied into those systems, but I don't like cash back because it just to me it just it's cash. Like it just goes back into the kitty and I don't
That's
see it.
right.
Like I
It's no
don't get a
fun. It's no
benefit.
fun.
It's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
fun. That's exactly it. Like I've got cash. What I want is status. And that's where they get you because as I've chased my American Express points and I've gotten status, being diamond for many, many years, I get upgrades every single time. So every time my wife and I travel, we are almost always guaranteed a first class upgrade because we're normally the highest, unless we're going through Atlanta and you can't really compete Delta through Atlanta. There's some high status people there, but you get that extra little perk. So not only am I getting a flight, but now I'm getting like a little upgrade, which makes me feel cool, or I'm getting to board first, which makes you feel cool. So those status cards, the cool side is you get something for it. The downside is now I'm tied in. I
Yeah,
can't book a flight unless it's a Delta flight.
yeah. So the way my platinum card works is it's not tied into anything. So I get to use
Mm,
American Express back end to book flights or hotels, whatever I want to do. So I like the ability in Delta. I could fly Delta, but I'd have to go through Atlanta all the time. I'm just not dealing with that. And so,
mm,
um, being from South Carolina, you hate Atlanta. So
hmm
it's just one of those things. So I'm able to use my points to fly American Airlines, like I always fly.
Yeah.
But the great thing about that Amex card also, you get the Centurion Lounge, and you get all those little extra perks that do make you feel special when you're traveling, and it takes the burden off. Nothing's
Mm.
worse than sitting in the airport and spending $50 for a hamburger and a drink, when you can walk into one of these lounges and it's free, right? And I fly a lot, I
Yeah.
travel a lot, so those things are really helpful for me.
I'm starting to feel the other way around that. You look at the people that go into the Delta Lounge and you're like, oh man, that's so fancy. They get to go in and get free food, but then after a point, it just becomes the same old cafeteria food. And you're like, actually, the people who are
No,
really well off are actually going to the restaurant and getting real food, and then they're going
nah,
just to
dude,
hang
that's
out in the
it.
Centurion in the lounges.
The Centurion Lounge is a different thing. It's not cafeteria food. Now, I go to the Admirals Club a lot, and sometimes it's cafeteria food. So I get it, but it's
Yeah.
nice to have a real chair to sit in.
Yes, I could definitely say the bathrooms there are much better than the bathrooms in the normal airport. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So I think so if you kind of dissect what your goals are and what system you want to be in, if your flights are always through a Delta hub, it makes sense to get a branded card like that. And you
Yeah,
probably want to look at what vendors do you spend a lot of money with, and is it a good idea to get their co-branded card, right? So maybe
yeah.
it's a Costco, maybe it's a Southwest card because you're near a Southwest hub. Maybe it's a Marriott because you are just loyal to the Marriott system, so you want one of their cards. Maybe it's your
And
gas
I do
card.
have one of those. I have one of those too because we're always in Marriott's. It seems like.
Yeah, yeah, most of the time. But again, it's the same double-edged sword. I love getting a free upgrade through Marriott. I love using points, but now I'm stuck
Yeah,
buying
for sure.
a
Yeah,
Marriott hotel when it's not necessarily the cheapest one in the city I'm going to or the
yeah,
best option.
yeah.
But I just can't book outside the system. Um, so you're getting your points now. Do you have all your employees on cards? Do you provide additional cards? Because many of these cards will do free employee cards that obviously instead of just passing around one card, which I don't know if that's your philosophy, or do you have a card for each basically
I
department
have,
head or manager?
yeah, so every manager has a card. And you know, I can tell you this, your expenses go up when every manager has a card. Just to let everybody out there know that. Um,
Good.
cars get more gas than they should. Um, your office supplies expenses go up. Next thing you know, you've got four different types of waters. You know, these really nice fancy waters, or you got all these snacks that you used to didn't have. So, um, you know, give people cards with limitations, I guess is the best thing to say there.
Yeah, I would say regardless, you've got to, of course, have a standard of what's acceptable at your dealership. They're not buying lunch every single day. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Oh,
it's, hey, we do, like at our place, we do lunch on Fridays, and normally it's pizza, and occasionally it's a nicer restaurant if it's someone's birthday. You know, you do have to be careful of spend, and obviously you want to put caps on it. You need to track the cards, receipts need to be, submitted with stock numbers, and you got to have someone there to audit it. So there's definitely a scale of dealership where this becomes crucial, I think, regardless of how many cards you have out there.
yeah.
So what about finding vendors that will take payment through credit card? Because that's kind of where you start putting fuel on the fire, is saying, okay, how many of these vendors am I paying by check that
I
I could
would.
convert over to an auto pay
Yeah.
through a debit or credit card? And they might be happy with it because they are getting their money faster.
Yeah. I mean, if a vendor takes a credit card, I pay it with credit card. I would just soon not write checks. You may laugh and say, uh, when I say this, but I'm going to say checks are expensive. I mean, really and truly, they are. If you write the check, then you got to mail the check, and who knows how much stamps are? They're probably $1.50. I have no idea, but the check costs like a 50 cent every time you do it. So if I have a vendor that takes a credit card without a fee, I'm using it, man. And that's the
Mm,
first thing I ask. Well, can you just put this on my Amex? Yeah, sure, we'll do it. No problem. Now, if they say, well, there's a 3% fee, I think twice about it.
mm.
If
What would make you
if
say yes in that situation?
um if if it's a set it and forget it and it's not a big amount, I'll use that. Um,
Mm,
if I could ACH it, um, then I would do that before I'd write a check, right? Um, but the credit card fee is one of those things. If it's a one-time deal, a lot of times I'll just go ahead and do it just to be done with the bill. But if it's
mm.
reoccurring and it's a fee, I probably won't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the hard part of course, if you're paying a 2 or 3% processing fee, that's going to negate any kind of cashback benefits you would get or points benefits you would get. Um, and I do most of my payments through bill pay. So I'm not physically sending checks. I'm doing it through bill
Uh,
pay in my bank account. So I've got a lot of my vendors set up and just do bill pay, which is as easy as it gets, right? Every so often I got
yeah.
into QuickBooks and I cut a check to somebody, but I do need to get better at looking at all those vendors and just giving them a phone call and saying, hey man, like, do you want to get paid sooner? Like, let's get this set up on automatic credit card. You get your cash right away. I'm fine with that. I don't need a 30-day float. I would
Well,
rather get the
the one
points and pay you right away.
but the one thing is, if we talk about float, that credit card, if you play with the credit card, you're getting like another 30-day float. Um,
Yeah.
and so it could be worth that 2 to 3% if you get in a cash crunch, right? Let's say you have a
Um,
$50,000 bill that comes in and you go, man, if I could pay that 45 days from now using my credit card, it might be worth the 2 to 3% to do it.
yeah, that's a really good point. You have to do the math on what that's going to run you, and as far as knowing that that bill is still going to come due. And
Well,
that's one thing that I've had to do with my American Express is I used to just pay it every month in full, to come due on the 29th, and I just have it automatically set up to pay the full amount on the 29th. And sometimes that'd be a pretty big nut. I
yeah.
got up to like 60 grand, 70 grand limit on the American Express. And it's like all of a sudden you got to pay 60 grand at the end of the month. So what I did is I actually set up on both of my American Express and my Chase card to do it on a dollar amount. So once my card hits 20 grand, it just automatically pays it off. So
I'm gonna
that's a
tell,
little
yeah,
bit easier to take those
yeah.
little bites out of the apple than wait for the end of the month.
I'm gonna tell the audience a horror story that happened to me. I mean, and I probably told you this before, but Keystone used to have my credit card on file. And this has been 12, 14 years ago. I'm getting on a plane to go to NI80A, and I get this phone call from American Express. And they're like, hey, just making sure everything's right. I'm like, man, everything's good. I never had a problem. And they go, well, your bill's a little higher than it normally is. I'm like, okay, well, how much is it? It's $248,000. And I go, oh my God, like, why is it $248,000? I said, was it a bunch of little charges? Have we paid the bill? You know, I go through all these things. She says, no. A vendor, Keystone, has charged your card for $240,000, something astronomical.
Wow.
And I said, well, I promise you this, we did not spend $240,000 with Keystone. And she's like,
Yeah.
well, and she shut all my cards down immediately.
Mm.
And so I'm stuck in Vegas without credit cards, working to try to get this all sorted out. So, you know, keeping cards on files with vendors it can be a good thing, but you really need to make sure you know what you're doing and you monitor it.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of those is you're not going to be held liable for that
It's
kind of
sure,
stuff. You know,
sure,
it's an
sure.
inconvenience. And I'll tell you what, my American Express probably has to be reissued every year or two
Oh,
because of some fraudulent activity or something, and they end up shutting it down and have to reissue it. Probably not that often, but it feels like it because now you got to get new card, new numbers, and they've
yeah,
gotten better at that where the people that have pre-saved will carry over with the old credit card number. But
yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
so those have been some ideas. And doing the processing fee, obviously that's nothing new. I mean, even with my Blytzpay account, I've switched over to a convenience fee model. So a lot
Yeah,
of my customers say, hey, it's convenient for them to pay the $4.99 to process a credit card than it
yeah.
is to come into my dealership and pay with a check or cash.
Yeah, I mean, all that convenience, it is a convenience too because it is very convenient.
And I
And
even waive that credit card fee. So like with my Blitzpay account, I waive that fee if they're on auto pay.
yeah,
So it's only there for one-time payments. But if they're on auto pay, then I eat that fee. And maybe your vendors would do that for you. If you say, hey, set me up on auto pay, like there's a benefit to not charge me a fee because you know you're going to get your cash right away.
that's right. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
Blitzpay. It's makes it super convenient when we're collecting accounts from all over wherever we're collecting, wherever we are. So my collectors are at home now. So
Mhm.
it's really worked out well for us.
Yeah. And to wrap it up, some of the other cards, you know, we talked about the American Express Platinum, the Chase, my Chase Bonvoy card that I use.
Yep.
Chase has a lot of good ink cards. So the Ink Business
Yeah.
Preferred, the Ink Business Unlimited are both really, really great cards that don't have an annual fee. Well, the Preferred has an annual fee, but the Unlimited has no annual fee, and you're still getting like 1.5% cash back. Typically, if you pay a fee for a card, you're going to get a few more benefits. You got
Yeah.
to weigh that out. Like, you know, you look at the American Express Unlimited or Platinum, you're
Platinum.
paying like $4.99
Six
a year or something.
695 a year. And I
Yeah.
paid it. And let me tell you this, I get way more than 695. Like I mean, it's amazing. Like it just if you spend, you get money back from Dell. If you buy a computer, you get a $200 airline credit. I've got Clear. I've got all these different
Yeah.
things, right? And then I get Verizon. You get a wireless credit back because it's set up on autograph. It's all these, you know, all these little things. You go, oh my goodness, these credit card fees are so high. Well, if you use it properly, man, you'll get it back so quick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the key. So I would say in closing, guys, as far as recommendations go, obviously we've got our systems that we're tied into. They're not necessarily the best. But I think you've got to do your own research and say, okay, what cashback card or what points card is going to be the best for me based on I'm okay paying a fee. I'm not okay paying a fee because I'm only doing maybe $10,000 a month through my credit
Yeah,
card. I would think where you get to the point if you're doing 40 to $50,000 a month through your credit card, you probably want a higher tier program. It makes sense to pay the $6.99 for an American Express because you're really going to
yeah,
be accruing points faster. But
yeah.
yeah, if you're just looking little onesie twosies here and there and you're maybe doing 5 to 10 grand a month by credit card, I would definitely be looking at the no fee, you
Cash
know,
back.
cash,
Yeah,
cash.
yeah,
Yeah, at that small amount, you're never going to accrue enough airline miles to book a flight. You're never going to, you know, you
but
probably just better off getting a couple $100 cash back.
And it goes straight to the bottom line. That's kind of neat too, right? That cash back, if you're a smaller dealer, you're growing and you're trying to figure all this out, getting that cash back might really be helpful in the long run.
Hmm. And you might as well do it because you're paying it anyways.
That's
Like you
right.
said, if you run it through a credit card, not only are you getting potentially an extra 30 days of float on your capital, but you're also getting the benefit of something, you know,
Yeah.
paying for those expenses either way.
Yeah.
Cool, Luke. Well, have fun there in Alabama. Whatever you're going to wrestle some alligators and fry up some crawdads, and
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to definitely wrestle alligators later this afternoon.
that's good.
Yeah, I'm still saying y'all a lot, and everybody
Yeah,
understands it. Everybody understands me saying y'all, which is a good thing. Yeah.
yeah. It's gonna be worse. I'm gonna go hit the lake, do some sailing,
Yeah.
and enjoy
Any
the vacation.
skiing?
Some
Any skiing this time of the year?
Yeah, we got the wave runners here. We're gonna do
Okay.
all the above, man. Just yeah, it's the Caribbean to the Rockies here, so we're having a great time.
I wish you had invited me. That'd be fun.
I don't think the family could tolerate you. All right, talk
See
to
you,
you next
buddy.
week.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Please leave us a review. We'll catch you in the next episode.